Black is back. Hello from the hole. Coughing with my coffee before my coffee. I'm actually having a drink. Does it matter? Does anything matter? Have we ever really gone astray? Are we not creating the illusion of everything when everything is as real as we make it? Are we not trying to survive in a realm that we never asked for, that we're going to perish from, and hopefully go to a place that where we came from? We exist beyond this realm. Well, what does that mean? If we exist beyond this realm, how can something just be beyond what we're experiencing now? The illusion of death. When someone dies physically, does that mean that the soul within the body is dead as well? They inhabit the body and can take on any form that they want and create whatever reality they want. Everything that we know it in this biological meat suit illusion, bipedal organism, is an illusion. Could that be the case? Are we just here to have a temporary experience and then build off of that? Are we just here because two people had sex and we're creating a malicious reality because we're too ignorant with our tiny little brains pumping neurons inside of our little skull? We actually think that that's what we are because we've been brought up that way. I gotta go to church every Sunday. It's like, okay, we gotta worship this thing that we can't prove even exists, because it's going to lead us back to something that we never should have fallen astray from in the first place. It's like maybe we never left, and maybe we just need to be understanding that we're creating all of this maliciousness on our own because we bring everything on ourselves. Just thought, what if we exist beyond our thoughts? What if we exist beyond our emotions? What if we exist beyond everything that we believe, keyword, believe ourselves to be? What if it's just a little voice echoing through our minds, just like you're listening to this video that you chose to click on? What if it's all just beneficial to some experience that we're having that's greater than, and we think that all this stuff matters when it doesn't matter? But we're still meant to believe that it does matter. Matter does not matter. Matter gets sucked away into oblivion. Matter is an illusion created by the senses, which are also an illusion. Everything is an illusion. Reality itself is an illusion when it comes to perception of the matrix that surrounds us, that we exist and dwell within, which can be unplugged at any moment. We call that death. The body can't live without the mind, right? What happens when we go to sleep at night? We enter this realm that is obviously not, it seems real when you're in it, right? But what is reality? Whatever you perceive. Electrical signals, right? A matrix. We're just batteries powering this system that doesn't give a fuck about us, but we're supposed to try to survive in it when we're all going to eventually die anyway. It's obvious that it's meaningless. We're all just energized about it. It's fucking dodging the hunter. They're fucking trying to find our way back to Wonderland, right? Follow the white fucking rabbit. The pink rabbit. Bang, bang. Beating the drum. It keeps going and going and going until it stops, until it runs out of energy, because even the Energizer Bunny has to stop at some point. All batteries run out of power. The electrical signals within the brain are just battery generated, right? It's just, what is the battery? What's the difference between a battery and an electrical signal? Maybe consciousness is powering everything and we're just creating the illusion of something being separate from it, which is the biological body. The two people making love. Why do they make love? Because they're trying to connect and cope, and the reality doesn't give a fuck. So they fuck in order to make a fuck. They fuck in a reality that doesn't give a fuck in order to make a fuck. And we call that birth of a new baby. Boy or girl, X or Y chromosome. They're getting born into this rabbit hole matrix, and they got to recite their lesson until they eventually fall asleep and try to taste Wonderland until somebody they go through the rabbit hole, follow the white rabbit, and they tumble down, they go through the door where they eat or drink, Tweedledum, Tweedledee, very unbirthday tea party, Treasure Cat, until eventually the queen or whatever, and the king chops off the head at croquet, right? And they wake up and it's like, okay, where you been? Get your act together. We got things to do. It's just back in the Matrix trying to dodge the agents, right? It's just an early version of the Matrix before the Matrix became the Matrix, which always has been the Matrix, even though it might seem like Wizard of Oz sometimes, right? It's still the Matrix, though. Everything's always a Matrix. Whether there's witches or demons or goblins or whatever, it doesn't matter. Could be anything, guys. It's always going to be the word live spelled backwards is evil, the hell realm that we dwell within. Parents F us into existence. We call that sex, but it's really effing in reverse. If you just F someone, I'm not saying the F word anymore because I don't want to have any age restrictions on this. If you just F someone, then it's like, there's no birth. There's no fertilized egg from that. Sperm cannot fertilize the egg, right? But since everything is flip-flopped in this world, you bring forth the child into a rabbit hole matrix that doesn't even remember asking to be born. They're just forced here because two people had sex, and it has the truth. The truth hurts. It hurts so bad. Love hurts, right? You've heard the old saying. It's better to just adopt or whack. You choose to bring a child in this world by mating or dating, courting, mating, the high ass, dare I say it, ego, the human ego. It's like we need to keep the slave system going. We have these inner voices in our heads that says that to us. We know that this isn't right, but we're just still coping as best we can within it. So the two parents screw with each other, right? They bring the child here. The child has to go through all of these traditional ways of life. You gotta go to school. You gotta eventually find ways to find work. You gotta defend something called a country. What if it's all just man-made? And what if this money stuff is man-made? It's all just paper. What if people are evil and they're making things this way so they can sit and laugh at everybody's ignorance while they profit off of animals eating each other, which humans are no different. Now, humans are animals just as much as any other animal. What if? You always got to ask why. Who, what, when, where, why, how. We're all just here to be slaves to a system that doesn't care a hoot and holler about us. We're all here to be slaves to a system that is not here for our benefit. We are here for its benefit, because you have to always remember that everything is flip-flopped reverse in this realm, this hell realm. Because that's what it is. It's a hell realm. It will do everything it can to manipulate you, gaslight you, and ostracize you into thinking that you're the problem when it's the problem. And I know YouTube will be getting on to me like, oh, you can't be talking like this. We're going to have to age restrict it. And if it is age restricted, I do apologize, guys. Hopefully they'll allow this to where everybody can hear it as long as they're not a child, because you got to worry about the guidelines and everything. It's just artificial intelligence, everything going digital ID, for goodness sake. AI, ID, making it to where the ID is digital. Everything is just a number. Everything becomes number. It used to be just trade, then gold, then paper, and now everything's going digital. It's going to become so corrupt that the average person cannot even hope to fathom the so-called quote-unquote powers of this demon rabbit hole matrix world that we find ourselves in. Homelessness is actually becoming against lawfulness, so-called rule breaking, policy destruction. It's like every time you ever try to say anything about it, it's like always just making excuses. You're not facing the facts. The fact is that we live in a corrupt system that is benefiting off of our suffering. It never has cared, it never will care. And that's why you should not procreate into it. Because there's nothing here that gives a freaking hoot about anyone. It's only about moving forward and being profitable, so that the treadmill, the hamster wheel, will keep churning forward, so that no one will ever reach their truest potential, being drained of all their energy to feed the system with loosh, while they suffer and build themselves back through this ritual we call sleep, so they can survive through another day until their inevitable death, which many hope will be within their sleep. But until that happens, they must continue to reach for something that they will never be able to acquire in their miserable, pointless lives on this earth, spinning through space. The sun will eventually expand and take out all the orbits out through Mars and asteroid belt, and then, fuse back into a white and black dwarf. Whether it becomes a black hole, it sucks everything away, who knows? Or a white hole, it doesn't matter. Because we won't be around. If there is reincarnation, then the only reason that would happen is because a person cannot exist in a physical body without two people forcing it into existence. Therefore, all parents are to blame for any suffering that goes on in the child's life. Therefore, you don't deserve jack crap. And I'm speaking to all parents out there. You don't deserve jack shit if you're a parent. You owe the child everything for forcing them into an existence that they have no recollection of asking for, even if they were at a spiritual perspective. Why would they choose to enter a realm knowingly from a spiritual perspective? That's just all about slavery and ignorance and corruption and people outwitting each other. Every man for himself. What the fuck? Why in the hell would I want to come into a world like that? I wouldn't. Anybody with any right mind wouldn't want to do that, where you just have to struggle to cope with every move you make, everything being monitored all the time. You have to have the crap-eating grins. Like, yes, sir, while in the mind you're saying, as you climb the steps to work each day, screw you. Waking up each day, it's like, oh my God, I can't believe that happened yesterday. Knowing that you're probably going to have to still go through it again tomorrow. And there's nothing that can be done about it, because this fucking crap that happens through your life is going to follow you until the day you quote-unquote die and leave this realm, when you probably never even needed to exist in the first place from a perfect spiritual perspective. I just know that YouTube will be like, no, you can't be saying this stuff on you. Of course I can't, because I speak the truth, and you can't handle the truth. All these other platforms, there's no comment. I'm a YouTuber. I'm not a Rumble man. I'm not a Instagram man. I'm not a TikTok man. I'm a YouTuber, just like all these other YouTubers. I come on here some, 16 months ago, after I began to realize fully, completely that this realm does not give a hoot and holler about anybody. I realized that I'm a slave to a system that doesn't care about me, doesn't care about you, doesn't care about anybody. It only wants to profit off of us doing the same repetitious movements every single day, studying our asses off just to be a slave until we die, just because two people forced us here through this so-called ritual is called sex, when it's actually effing in reverse. You could easily whack, or you could easily adopt, or you could easily have a pet, for goodness sake. You could do anything, but just do not bring another innocent being into this dog-eat-dog world! But I don't want to slobber over the matter too much, because a lot of people are going to be like, no, this guy's being way too dramatic. This guy doesn't know what he's talking about. Hell, this guy isn't even monetized yet. And why should he be? We don't have to watch, we don't even get to listen to nice little ads in between what he's saying, like all these other YouTubers, right? Because he doesn't have enough subscribers for that. Not that I don't love all my subscribers. I mean, at the time I'm making this video, I have 200 some subscribers. And I love every one of you guys, but obviously that's not enough for me to make any money. Because it has to be like 1,000 subscribers to be monetized. Because everything's always about that piece of paper, the trees, the air that we breathe. Timber, you cut down, they print out more every day. So if you don't have it, then they throw you out on the street. They don't care about you. They don't want you to survive in this world. We're all going to die anyway. I mean, we could all, and the abundance is here for us to enjoy. And yet you keep getting stimulated by these evil MFers on the so-called top, so that you will keep procreating into a system that is just going to make you a slave for their profit when the abundance is already there. But no, you must never know that. You need to be doing all this other stuff over here that we choose. We choose what you should see, hear, and play with, whether it be movies, video games, songs, concerts, restaurants, food. All animals have to eat each other to survive. Something has to suffer for something else to thrive. We choose what you will be stimulated with so that you will continue to feed the system, because we're the agents. We, the Illuminati, we, the mafia, or whatever, the lawmakers, the dream makers even, because everything is reversed. It might seem decent on the surface, but it's actually very evil. Everything in this world is evil. The word live spelled backwards, preventing life, preventing people from thriving, making sure people suffer so that the system will keep thriving, benefiting off of people having to work long hours, when a system could easily be made to where one person could work one day, another person could work one day, another person could work one day. There would not have to be one person handling the load of like 20, 30 or more people, having 2 or 3 jobs, having to live in their cars, having to be arrested just for trying to be able to sustain themselves, and when they're all, you can't even exit peacefully. You end up being crippled for trying to leave in a peaceful way. Or in an unpeaceful way. I'm sorry. In an unpeaceful way. That's okay though, because your parents brought you here. You're supposed to be grateful that you have to die one day, and that you have to be a slave to a piece of paper that literally does grow on trees. All this talk about, money doesn't grow on trees. Of course it grows on trees. That's where they print it from, the trees. Of course money grows on trees. But they won't print it out. You can't counterfeit. You cannot counterfeit the piece of paper. They will examine you. You got all this stuff in place to make sure that you gotta be a slave before you can live a life that you never even asked for, because your parents brought you here. They raised you. so that you will be a slave to the system. They wanted a little plaything, right? They made love to each other. They wanted a little plaything, and now it's like, okay, now you got to go be a slave now because you're not our little plaything anymore. Because we had to be stimulated, and we don't even realize we've been stimulated. Oh, but that's love. That's stimulus. That's programming. Real love doesn't exist in this world. It's all about profit. It's all about function. It's all about monopoly, corporate control, making sure that I have it all and that you have nothing. And we feed you scraps just so you can return it to the so-called government that's always watching every move that you make. A government doesn't give a hoot and holler about you. A government that doesn't give a hoot and holler about me. A government created by the people, for the people, that shall not perish from the earth, or make sure that everybody else has to perish in the process. It's a scam. It's rigged. And now we're supposed to take our little baths with our ruppy duckies, squeaking, oh yeah, it's okay, we'll clean ourselves off, it's another day. Yeah, fuck that. I don't want to live in a world like that. But no, we got no choice. We can't have enthusiasm. I can't, whatever. We can't commit suicide. Well, yeah, definitely don't recommend that. We have to cope. We drink responsibly. We make sure that we're places at the right time. We make sure that people are told exactly what they want to hear. And if we go astray, then there's something wrong with us. We need professional help. We need therapy. YouTube is my therapy. You sit in a therapy chair, it was like, what's going to happen? You're going to pay a lot of money for just so somebody can play tic-tac-toe. Let's just be honest, guys. You learn stuff in school that you're not going to remember in a world that is definitely not your toy anymore, that you are definitely not prepared for. You leave school, it's like, what do I do now? Oh, you got to find a job. How do I find a job? Oh, you got to apply. How do I apply? Oh, you got to make a resume. How do I make a resume? Oh, you got to have experience. How do I have experience? Well, you got to have college education and everything. It's teaching you a bunch of stuff you're going to forget. And you get out in the real world and you end up having something and you got a million other people applying to the same thing. All this stuff is already something that a child could do. You got to go through all this process, and then when you have it, you still probably won't be happy. But you got to do it, man. At least until you retire. I don't even think retirement exists in this world anymore. If you don't, then you're screwed. We're all screwed anyway. We're all going to die. So why worry about it? Hakuna Matata, right? Oh, no, we can't do that. No worries. We gotta be slaves, man. We gotta be slaves to a system. Otherwise, we got, then that's it for us. We gotta be grateful for the fact that we exist. We don't even remember asking to exist. We were forced here. We were forced here. But we gotta be grateful. Why? Oh, because I say so. I'm the boss. You're the worker. Why? Well, how dare you, right? See, the ego, the human ego, is the most high-ass, despicable trait. The evil of people, man. This world has so much abundance in it, and we could easily thrive in it if we would simply help each other and be there for each other. But no. We create a world that's based off of profit for a small group while everybody else has to suffer. And then most of them are even not aware of the suffering because they've been conditioned the whole life and they've been fed all these little scraps whole lives, indoctrinated to believing, keyword belief, which is how you limit yourself more than anything, by believing something and not being open to the reality that you're capable of anything as a conscious being, which cause and effect wouldn't exist without, by the way. Cause and effects existing in the physical world is a mere result of the fact that you exist here consciously as all, which is why being in this world and having a child is morally wrong, especially when you realize this. If you don't realize it, then fine. I hope you do come to realize it and you stop the cycle. But to bring a child in the world knowing this is morally wrong. Because once a child's here, they got to deal with this stupid life where you can't reverse that unless you manipulate them or you destroy them, and I don't recommend that. The child's gonna just have to suffer in a system that is just built to make them a slave, and doesn't care about their misery, doesn't care about their malicious thoughts, doesn't care about their terrible feelings, doesn't care about their opinions on how life should be, doesn't give a fuck. No, you do this or you die. We're gonna die anyway. So fuck the world and fuck having kids. Because it's the dumbest thing you can do is bring a child in this world, especially when you're aware of the monotonous and the ignorance that comes with it. This world doesn't care about you. This world doesn't care about me. The world is an illusion created by humans. The human mind, the body cannot live without the mind, just so it can continue the system, make more slaves, be batteries, system, electrical signals pass into the brain, and continue being bodies of slaves just waiting to be unplugged one day. Eventually everything will be unplugged, and the time of that is unknown, but most people want to hurry that along. It just, they see that they yank the cord, we're out of here. Which I don't recommend it. But life has become so unfair to the point where people have no choice but to feel and think this way. So what to do? Do we just keep griping about it like this, or do we do something about it? What can we do? Overthrow the system. How do we overthrow the system? Where's the oracle? We come to learn. We came there, the Wu-Tang, my little Wu-Tang emblem or whatever it's called, I don't care. Somebody called it that. You gotta know yourself, right? I'm telling you, we gotta understand that we all create a reality, and we're creating a very malicious reality, and we need to find a way to beat that reality. And the only way to do that is to realize that it is morally wrong to bring a child into a system that is based off of the notion that you must be a slave in order to be free. Because that doesn't make any sense other than the sense that we've created for ourselves. I refer to dollar as a sense, which should be burned at the stake just like anybody who's ever made it. Just everything is in a reverse flip-flop, upside down world. There's no justice here. The world doesn't care about anything other than just being, just keep the thing moving. The only thing to do is to just say, fuck it, drop everything. I'm not doing this anymore. And if I'm going to bring somebody here, I'm not going to allow them to be eaten by any other animals. So that's why I shouldn't bring somebody here in the first place. Antinatalism is the only moral way to thwart this injustice, which is obviously everywhere in the world. There's nothing here other than just pure hell. And the only way to beat that hell and to put out the fire is with the cool water of placid common sense. And then she'll be gone with the wind. We step on the new earth of freedom, justice, morality, reason, fairness, and peace. So my question is, will you continue to allow people to be brought into a world of just absolute machine, robot, puppet, marionette, slave, sheep in the herd? or even the slave owners are slaves, or you will say, fuck it, and I'm not going to bring anybody else here. If there's a free will going to create this realm, cause and effect, that you got to fucking be a slave to survive. Because there will, light cannot exist without dark, the yin yang, the tornado, the hot and cold air, sucking us all away. All it does is destroy. The only way to thwart this is to say, screw it, I'm just going to exist and be me and love thy neighbor. There's no need for any of this other deception. Because it's all about just existing and being in the I am, in consciousness. And creating a wonderful reality for everyone. And there's no need to create all this confusion anymore. Through the human ego and the so-called knowledge, right? Which is what apparently led us astray in the first place. That's why you should not bring anybody into a world like that, because it's never going to change until the thing burns to fucking pieces and we end the damn thing. And we persevere into a realm that is of pure creation and consciousness, which is everything. We are it is us. We decide when everything will change. Otherwise, it will continue to expand into nothingness forever. This has been The Black Hole. Thank you very much for listening to my very intuitive video. Comment below what you guys think. Like, share, subscribe. I will see you guys again when the time is right. This is Black Hole at Handle Black Hole. What's up? Peace. Bye-bye for now. Over and out. Fuck the system. Hang in there. I love you guys. And just cope as best you can. And yeah, I'm here with you guys. I'll see you guys again when the time is right. There's no telling when that will be. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.